What if I told you that a book written in 1936, before the internet, before smartphones, before the entire modern world as we know it, is still the single most powerful guide to human connection ever written? What if I told you that this book has sold over 30 million copies, been translated into 37 languages, and has been on bestseller lists for decades? That CEOs, presidents, and billionaires have credited it with changing their lives. And what if, right now, in the next hour, you could absorb its most essential wisdom and walk away with tools that will immediately change how people respond to you, forever? This is that book. This is its story, and it starts right now. The story behind the book. Lean in. This isn't just a summary. This is a journey. Imagine a young man from Missouri, a farm boy, the son of a struggling hog farmer, who grows up to teach one of the most sought-after courses in the world. A man who interviewed legends: Thomas Edison, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Clark Gable. A man who spent 15 years researching, testing, and refining a set of principles so powerful that one employer used them to turn 314 enemies into 314 friends, literally overnight. That man was Dale Carnegie. And in 1936, he put everything he'd learned into a slim, unassuming book that would quietly revolutionize the world. Here's something that will stop you cold. Research from Carnegie's own foundation revealed that only 15% of financial success comes from technical skill. The other 85%? It's human skill, the ability to connect, to lead, to make people feel seen. Let that sink in for a moment. 85%. We spend years mastering our craft, coding, engineering, medicine, law, and almost none of our time mastering the one skill that determines whether any of it actually pays off. Carnegie wrote this book because that skill had no textbook. He searched libraries across America. He hired a researcher to spend 18 months digging through psychology, biography, philosophy. He interviewed over 100 great leaders. And then he built something no one else had ever built: a practical human handbook for getting along with people. What he discovered wasn't manipulation. It wasn't tricks. It was a profound, almost revolutionary truth about human nature, and it can be captured in a single sentence. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Now let's walk through the 4 pillars of Carnegie's masterwork, and let's make it vivid. Part 1. Fundamental techniques in handling people. Before you can win anyone over, you have to understand what's driving them. Chapter 1. Don't kick over the beehive. Here's a question that will make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you criticized someone, and it actually worked? May 7th, 1931. New York City is holding its breath. After weeks of manhunts, two-gun Crowley, a killer, a cop shooter, a man who would soon be sentenced to the electric chair, is cornered in his girlfriend's apartment. Police are firing machine guns. 10,000 people watch from the streets below. And while the bullets fly, Crowley is writing a letter. Under my coat, he writes, is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm. A murderer, calling himself kind. And here's the jaw-dropping part. He wasn't lying. He believed it. Al Capone, public enemy number 1, a man who ordered countless murders, considered himself a public benefactor. The warden of Sing Sing prison, after decades of dealing with hardened criminals, concluded, "Few of the criminals here regard themselves as bad men." If killers can't condemn themselves, what makes us think our coworkers, spouses, or children will respond any better to criticism? Criticism is a boomerang. It always comes back. B.F. Skinner, the world's most famous psychologist, proved through exhaustive research that animals rewarded for good behavior learn far more quickly than animals punished for bad. The same is true for humans. Criticism doesn't produce lasting change. It produces resentment. Abraham Lincoln learned this the hard way. As a young man, he once wrote a mocking letter about a rival politician. That letter nearly cost him his life. The man challenged him to a duel. From that day on, Lincoln vowed, never again. During the bloodiest years of the Civil War, Lincoln wrote a scathing letter to General Meade, who had let Robert E. Lee escape after Gettysburg, possibly extending the war by years. He wrote every furious word. Then he folded it up, set it aside, and never sent it. That letter was found among his papers after his death, unsent, because Lincoln understood that sending it would relieve his feelings for one moment and create an enemy for a lifetime. Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Chapter 2. The one thing every human being craves. There is a hunger in every human heart. Carnegie discovered it, and it will change everything once you understand it. What if I told you there's something people want more than food, sometimes more than money, and we almost never give it to them? William James, Harvard's greatest psychologist, said it plainly. The deepest principle of human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Not wished, not desired, craved. Andrew Carnegie, no relation to Dale, paid Charles Schwab a salary of over $1 million a year at a time when a good wage was $50 a week. Why? Not because Schwab knew the most about steel. Carnegie had other men who knew more. He paid Schwab $1 million because Schwab had mastered the art of making people feel important. I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people, Schwab once said, the greatest asset I possess. And the way to develop the best in a person is by appreciation and encouragement. I never criticize anyone. I am anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. Think of someone in your life who made you feel truly seen, truly valued. A teacher who believed in you, a boss who noticed your effort, a friend who remembered what mattered to you. How loyal are you to that person? How far would you go for them? Now imagine being that person for someone else. There's a world of difference between flattery and genuine appreciation. Flattery is cheap, it's hollow, people sense it immediately. But honest, sincere appreciation, noticing what someone actually did and genuinely acknowledging it, that's transformative. Stevie Wonder, the most gifted ears in music history. Do you know what launched his career? A teacher who appreciated him for listening, a teacher who needed help finding a lost classroom mouse, and asked Stevie because she recognized his extraordinary hearing. One act of sincere appreciation, one moment of being truly seen, and the world got a legend. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Chapter 3. The only way to influence anyone, ever. Here's the secret that once you hear it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Dale Carnegie loved to fish. Personally, he preferred strawberries and cream. But he noticed something. Fish don't like strawberries and cream. Fish like worms. So when I went fishing, he wrote, I didn't think about what I wanted. I thought about what they wanted. Why don't we apply the same logic to people? The only way to influence another person is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Not what you want, what they want. Andrew Carnegie once needed his nephews at Yale to write home to their mother. They'd been ignoring her letters for months, so he wrote them a cheerful note, mentioning casually in the postscript that he was enclosing $5 for each of them. Then he forgot to include the money. Return letters arrived by the very next post. Lloyd George, Britain's prime minister during World War I, was asked how he stayed in power long after other wartime leaders had been forgotten. His answer? He had learned to bait the hook to suit the fish. Henry Ford said it perhaps most brilliantly of all. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. This isn't manipulation, it's empathy, operationalized. It's asking before every conversation, what does this person actually want? And how can helping them get it also help me? Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Part 2. 6 ways to make people like you. You're about to learn what the most magnetic people in the world do differently. Here's a social experiment. Think of the most charismatic person you've ever met. The one people are drawn to like a magnet. The one who walks into a room and immediately makes everyone feel better. What do they have that others don't? Carnegie spent years trying to answer that question, and what he found was both surprising and deeply human. Principle 1. Be genuinely interested in other people. A dog, Carnegie observed, has no agenda. No business to sell, no favor to ask. A dog just wants to be with you, and we adore dogs for it. The secret of charisma isn't being interesting, it's being interested. Genuinely, authentically curious about the person in front of you, their dreams, their fears, their stories, their lives. Theodore Roosevelt made a habit of studying everything about the background of each person he was about to meet, their hobbies, interests, family. Servants adored him, dignitaries respected him, because everyone felt, in his presence, that they were the most important person in the world. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. Principle 2. Smile. This one sounds almost too simple, but Carnegie called it one of the most powerful tools in human connection, and science has since proven him right. Your face is a broadcasting station. It transmits how you feel about the person you're with. A genuine smile says, "I'm glad you exist. I'm glad to be here with you. You matter." The Chinese have a proverb Carnegie loved. A man without a smiling face must not open a shop. But it goes further than business. A smile is a gift you give without losing anything. It costs nothing and pays everything. Principle 2. Smile. Principle 3. Remember their name. Napoleon III, Emperor of France, made it a point of pride to remember every name of every person he met. He had a system. He'd repeat a name, connect it to something memorable, write it down later. Because he knew, a person's name is the sweetest sound in any language to that person. It signals, you are not interchangeable to me. You are not generic. You are you, and I remember you. Principle 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Principle 4. Listen more than you talk. Want to be fascinating? Here's the counterintuitive secret. Shut up and listen. Most people, during a conversation, are just waiting for their turn to speak. They're mentally composing their next sentence while you're still finishing yours. We all do it. It's almost a reflex. But the rarest, most remarkable conversationalists do something completely different. They listen. Not politely, not passively, actively, hungrily. They ask follow-up questions. They draw you out. They make you feel that what you're saying is genuinely fascinating, because to them, it is. Sigmund Freud had this quality in abundance. People who met him spoke of feeling completely absorbed in their own thoughts under his gaze, as if their internal world suddenly seemed important and worth exploring. Encourage people to talk about themselves, ask about their children, their projects, their passions, and then listen, truly listen, as if there's nothing else in the world you'd rather be doing. Principle 4. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Theodore Roosevelt, before meeting anyone important, would stay up the night before reading everything he could about that person's interests. Why? Because he knew the quickest way to a person's heart is through what they care about most. Find what makes someone light up, the hobby they can't stop talking about, the project they're pouring their life into, the child they're bursting with pride over. Meet them there and watch the walls come down. Principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important, and mean it. Benjamin Disraeli, one of the most powerful political operators in British history, once said, "Talk to people about themselves, and they will listen for hours." Every person you meet carries a secret sign around their neck that says, "Make me feel important." Your job, if you want to win friends, influence people, build loyalty, and command respect, is to read that sign and respond to it. Not through hollow praise, not through flattery, but through genuine acknowledgement of the value this person brings to the world. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. You're halfway through. What you're about to hear is where Carnegie gets truly masterful. Have you ever won an argument and lost the relationship? Have you ever been 100% right and made everything 100% worse? Carnegie had a blunt observation. You cannot win an argument. Even if you win, you lose. Because the person on the other side, the one you just publicly humiliated into submission, is now your enemy. Principle 1. Avoid arguments entirely. Jan Pearce, a famous opera tenor married for nearly 50 years, shared his secret with Carnegie. My wife and I made a pact long ago. When one yells, the other listens. Because when two people yell, there is no communication, just noise and bad vibrations. Arguments feel productive, they feel righteous, but they almost never change minds. They change feelings, and not for the better. The victor gets a moment of satisfaction, the loser gets a wound that festers. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Principle 2. Never say, "You're wrong." Here's a phrase that has destroyed more relationships, deals, and friendships than almost any other. You're wrong. The moment you tell someone they're wrong, something chemical happens in their brain. They stop listening. They shift into defensive mode. They are no longer interested in the truth. They are interested in winning. Carnegie discovered that you can get people to change their minds, just never by telling them they need to. Principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, "You're wrong." Principle 3. Admit your own mistakes quickly. Epictetus was a slave in ancient Rome who became one of history's greatest philosophers. He said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." When you've made a mistake, Carnegie discovered that the fastest way through it is also the most counterintuitive. Admit it, quickly, clearly, without hedging, before anyone else can say it. This disarms the other person completely. They came ready for a fight, and you gave them none. There's nothing left to argue about. You've already said what they were going to say. Principle 3. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. Abraham Lincoln, a drop of honey catches more flies than a gallon of gall. Before you try to change someone's mind about anything, start with warmth. Find common ground. Establish goodwill. Make them want to hear what you have to say. Persuasion is not a battering ram. It is a door, and you have to have the right key. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. Principle 5. The Socratic secret. Get them saying yes. Socrates never told anyone they were wrong. He never argued. Instead, he asked questions. Questions so precisely constructed that his opponents had no choice but to agree, step by step, until they arrived at a conclusion they'd never intended to reach. Start every difficult conversation by establishing agreement. Find the 5 things you agree on before touching the one thing you don't. By the time you get to the disagreement, the other person is already in the habit of saying yes, and their defenses are down. Principle 5. Get the other person saying yes, yes, immediately. Principles 6 and 7. Let them talk. Let them own the idea. Most people trying to persuade others talk too much. They fill every silence with arguments, data, reasons. But Carnegie learned, the most persuasive thing you can do is listen. And even more powerful than that, let the other person feel that the idea was theirs. People will fight for an idea they believe they invented. They'll resist an idea that was forced upon them. So plant seeds, ask questions that guide them toward the answer, and then step back and let them discover it. Principle 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Principle 7. Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. Principles 8 to 12. Empathy, sympathy, drama, and challenge. Here's the most underrated skill in human interaction: seeing the world through someone else's eyes. Carnegie's Principle 8 is perhaps the most transformative of all. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view, not as a tactic, as a genuine act of imagination. Why does this person believe what they believe? What has their life been like? What fears, experiences, and pressures have shaped their worldview? When you truly understand why someone thinks the way they do, persuasion becomes almost unnecessary. Understanding becomes the connection. Principle 9 adds sympathy to the mix. I don't blame you one iota for feeling that way, Carnegie would say. If I were you, I'd feel exactly the same. These words are almost magical. They dissolve anger. They create openness. They transform opponents into allies. Principle 10 reminds us to appeal to the nobler motives, because people don't just want to be right, they want to be good. Frame your requests in terms of honor, loyalty, fairness, and generosity, and watch people rise to meet them. Principle 11. Dramatize your ideas. Facts are forgettable. Stories are not. If you want to convince, don't just tell, show. Make your ideas vivid, concrete, emotionally resonant. And finally, Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. Carnegie observed that the deepest human desire isn't comfort, it's the chance to excel, to prove oneself, to win. Give someone a worthy challenge, and they will surprise even themselves. Principle 8. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Principle 9. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Principle 10. Appeal to the nobler motives. Principle 11. Dramatize your ideas. Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. Part 4. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. The final act. This is where everything comes together, and where Carnegie gets most personal. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about making people feel capable, valued, and inspired to bring their best. Principle 1. Begin with praise. When Charles Schwab walked through his steel mills, he carried a piece of chalk. If a worker performed well, he'd write the number of that shift's output on the floor. Workers on the next shift would see it and push to beat it. Quiet praise, visible competition, remarkable results. Beginning with genuine appreciation before offering any correction is like a dentist who uses Novocaine before drilling. The drilling still happens, but the pain is gone. Principle 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Principle 2. Call attention to mistakes, indirectly. Notice what Carnegie is not saying here. He's not saying ignore mistakes. He's saying be smart about how you address them. You've been doing excellent work on most of this project, and this one section is the only thing holding it back from being truly outstanding. That sentence accomplishes everything a blunt criticism would, without triggering a single defense mechanism. Principle 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes first. Carnegie's niece was his secretary, young, sometimes making errors. He had every right to correct her, but he began every correction the same way, by telling her about his own early blunders, his own imperfections, his own long journey to competence. The message was unmistakable. You are not being judged. You are being guided by someone who has walked this same road. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Quick reference. All 30 principles at a glance. Part 1. Fundamental techniques in handling people. Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Part 2. 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. Principle 2. Smile. Principle 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Principle 4. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, "You're wrong." Principle 3. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. Principle 5. Get the other person saying, "Yes, yes," immediately. Principle 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Principle 7. Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. Principle 8. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Principle 9. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Principle 10. Appeal to the nobler motives. Principle 11. Dramatize your ideas. Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. Part 4. Be a leader. Principle 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Principle 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Principle 4. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. Principle 5. Let the other person save face. Principle 6. Praise the slightest improvement. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. Principle 7. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Principle 8. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Principle 9. Make the other person happy about doing what you suggest. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. Dale Carnegie.